the best action to take is to work with them to fight towards a shared goal, because berating them and belittling them certainly won't make any progress at all.
Matt's got that dog in him. He does, man. Matt's scary.
Why are my taste buds more important than an animal's life?
Because I don't want to hurt innocent animals. I'm soft. Yeah. Actually, it's a strength.
Cosmic Skeptic originally posted this video in around 2019 where he talks about how he believes being vegan is the most ethical way to exist.
At some point, I'll just have to suck it up and join the growing trend of a herbivorous lifestyle.
After that, he went on to be a very passionate advocate for animal rights. He was intelligent, assertive, and very charismatic, and what's more is he didn't back down from a fight when it was presented to him.
The crux of the point that I want to convince you of today, or help to elucidate, perhaps if you already believe, is that non-human animals are members of our moral community and deserve to be treated as such, whether we like it or not.
He was essentially the dream candidate for animal rights. And then a few years later, he announced to the internet that he would no longer be vegan. When this happened, he was met with a wide variety of negative comments. I've got a couple here, I'm gonna read some to you. Go f*** yourself. You're too much of a f***ing retard to learn how to cook tofu. You are a f***ing loser who can't change his food habits. Now, he handled this whole situation with dignity and maturity, as I would have expected of him. As for his reasons for why he couldn't go vegan or why he didn't feel like he could stay vegan, he talks about it in this video where he discusses that due to his symptoms of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, he would find himself in situations where he could only stomach a very small amount of food or only eat very precise types of food, and due to that, he didn't feel like it was practical for him to essentially follow a vegan diet, to be a vegan. In addition to that, he had some mental health issues that he didn't want to go into detail on camera, which is of course more than fair enough, especially considering those comments that he received that I just read out to you. And this brings me to the crux of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how we in the animal rights movement should be responding to people when they tell us things like this. Now, I want to start off by saying that I understand how disappointing it is to see someone who was once a passionate advocate for animal rights suddenly start to pay for unnecessary animal slaughter again. I've been inside these places myself. I've smelt the blood. I've looked these animals in the eyes while they were on the floor with two broken legs trying to struggle and get food and water. I have opened the lid of an industrial bin to see piles of corpses, and they were clearly a mother and her children who had not made the cut. I had gone in one night to plant cameras and bonded with the animals that I saw there, only to then return the next night, retrieve those cameras, and watch footage of those same animals being beaten and tortured to death with such an overwhelming feeling of guilt that I didn't take them out of there. I have skin in this game. I think about my experiences every day of my life, and I am full of rage and anger a lot of the time. But the question is, what should I do with that rage and anger? What should we all do with that rage and anger that we feel inside of us once that we have had the blindfold pulled off of our eyes and we now know what actually happens in these places? These are strong emotions. What do we do with them? Should we attack those verbally who find it difficult to follow a vegan diet? Should I allow my feeling of rage and anger to inspire me to tell this person that I hope that they die in a public hanging? I think it goes without saying that I don't think that's the right way to go about things. In fact, here's what I think we should do. I think we should completely forget about anything we disagree on. I think we should only focus on what our shared goals are, and we should focus on working together in order to achieve those shared goals. We may have some differences of opinions on certain things, but we also have many similarities, and we will get further, faster, by focusing on the similarities than we will by focusing on the differences. Let's look at a quick example at how we can do this. Alex, Cosmic Skeptic, has specifically mentioned that he is against factory farming, and in even more detail, he's called out the gassing of pigs as animal abuse and unnecessary torture. Instead of harassing Alex about why he's not vegan anymore, telling him that he never really cared about animals, that he was never really vegan, we could instead pause for a moment and work with him in order to help him achieve his goal and our goal of banning gas chambers. That is a point that we both agree on, and that is something that we share in common and can work towards together. These animals suffer and burn from the inside out while they suffocate. It is a terribly inhumane way to go, and the people who operate these facilities lie to us, telling us that it is painless, that it is humane, that it is the best option available, that it is a peaceful death. Now, if you're anything like I used to be, you're probably thinking something along the lines of, well, that is pointless. It won't solve anything because they'll just stop gassing them and they'll electrocute them instead. They'll just replace it with a different type of stunning and or slaughter. And that's a good thought. That's a reasonable thought. That's something that I would have thought in the past as well. But I want to pause and just kind of meditate on that for a moment. If the pig industry is no longer allowed to use gas chambers, they will suffer incredible economic losses. Gas chambers are used, at least as far as I understand it, because they enable them to kill more pigs in less time. You can shove 4, 5, 6 pigs into one gondola, lower it down into the gas, suffocate them, burn them alive from the inside, bring them up, ready to start the rest of the process. You don't have to do it one at a time. It's more quick, it's more efficient, and therefore it's more economically productive. If they cannot use gas chambers, they will instead have to use electric stunning, which means they will be able to kill less pigs in the same amount of time that they otherwise would, which means they will suffer economic losses. On top of that, they will also have to spend money replacing their gas chambers with that equipment for the electric stunning, which will, of course, also cause them to endure quite a significant economic burden. And what's more, on top of that, they will also have to pay for the replacement of those gas chambers with the alternative stunning or slaughter method, which of course will encompass its own economic damages there. Now, at the same time, they're losing money over here, right? Simultaneously, ethical alternatives such as precision fermentation, lab-grown meat, plant-based meats are going to be getting less expensive. They're going to be getting more affordable. They're going to be getting more accessible. So we're essentially going to be closing in on this industry from both sides by causing economic losses to them, while the people in the science industry actually working on the solutions to this problem will be making the ethical alternatives more effective, more cost effective, and more available. So we're closing in on this industry from both sides if we do this. Now, at the same time, I'm sure Alex would also be for transitioning subsidies away from animal agriculture to instead using those subsidies to help farmers transition out of animal agriculture industries and into different industries, whether that be precision fermentation, plant-based meats, lab-grown meats, you name it. I'm sure he would be for that as well. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't. So again, we could work on that shared goal to help us fight for that and help transition farmers out of animal agriculture and into more ethical, more sustainable, more socially acceptable alternatives. If we focus on these shared goals, we will make progress. If we call these people who don't go vegan or return to being omnivorous after they were once vegan, and we berate them and we harass them, not only will we not make progress, but I think we'll push people away from wanting to go vegan in the first place, simply because it will become crystal clear to them that this is a sort of cult that if they join, they will never be able to leave without being met with extreme violence, with death threats, with abuse, with harassment. I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't want to join a group like that. If we focus on working actively on areas in which we agree, we will be able to make progress towards a world where animals are not needlessly and unnecessarily tortured, beaten to death, abused, and murdered simply for our taste buds. We will be moving closer towards that world. Even though that person we're working with may still be funding that, and in our minds it might be frustrating. I understand that, believe me. The best action to take is to work with them to fight towards a shared goal, because berating them and belittling them certainly won't make any progress at all. And further, think about it. If we make these changes, we make animal agriculture more expensive while simultaneously making plant-based or ethical alternatives cheaper and more widely accessible, moving subsidies away so that we can help farmers transition out, what's going to happen to the market? The market is going to become more accessible, allowing more people to more easily be vegan, which will make that ask of, hey, go vegan, a lot less scary and intimidating for people, because now there's a lot less barriers. it's not perceived to be expensive. I know it isn't actually expensive. I know it's super cheap. It's a perception thing. It's not perceived to be expensive because there are so many really affordable alternatives. It's not perceived to be restrictive because everywhere you go, almost the default option will be plant-based or an ethical alternative such as lab-grown meat, because it will, due to our actions, due to fighting for this together, that will just be how it works out. And then we can say, hey, think about going vegan. Think about cutting out just that last little bit of dairy. By working together towards shared goals, I argue that we'll actually get to where we both want to be faster. So basically, in essence, just like stop telling people to hang themselves if they stop being vegan, stop telling people to, that they're animal abusers. I don't think it's helpful. I really don't. And I think there's better ways to go about it. All right, that's it from me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm keen to hear your thoughts. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with me, but I'm excited to start the discussion.